Hello, lovely Year 4s. Happy Monday. It's Miss Margetts here again with you for some English. So make sure you've got your English book ready with a pencil and a ruler. So let's get going. Today, the title is To Manipulate Clauses. So can you please pause the video and get this written neatly into your books? Remember to use a ruler. Pause the video then. Well done. Okay, so today our learning powers are making links and being independent. Now we're making links because we have already covered this, but it's always good just to draw on that memory to help us recall facts. That really helps our learning. And we're being independent. I know that it's all a bit funny and all a bit up in the air at the minute, but try and be independent. See three before me. Really dig deep, or perhaps you could use your book as a resource to recall the information. Okay, so let's get going. So we're going to think about what a main clause is and what a subordinate clause is. So, as we know, a main clause is a sentence or a group of words which makes sense on its own, and it must contain a subject and a verb. So, for example, it could be, I love pizza. That would be a main clause. It contains a subject and a verb. The verb in that sentence being love. But what is a subordinate clause? So a subordinate clause contains a subject and a verb still, but it needs to be attached to a main clause because it doesn't make sense on its own. And it's attached using a subordinate conjunction. I saw a wubbub. Now we've done this already. So this is just a really handy way of being able to manipulate those clauses. So we might have the subordinate clause coming first in a sentence and then the main clause. So we're just going to be playing around with these clauses today, but it's always good to recap what a main clause is and what a subordinate clause is. So there's a video that I'd like you guys to watch. We love a good video in Year 4, so spend a few minutes watching that one and then join me. So pause this video, go on to this one, and then join me in a minute. Okay, so hopefully now you're feeling a little bit more confident about what a main and a subordinate clause is. So let's see if we can find the main and the subordinate clause in this sentence here. So we've got, since it was raining, we had wet play. Now, a really good way to look for the subordinate clause is to look for the subordinating conjunction. So, since it was raining, my subordinate conjunction being since, this in blue is my subordinate clause. And then I've got my main clause. We had wet play. We had wet play would make sense on its own, whereas since it was raining would not. It needs something to be added to it. But a subordinate clause just adds more information to that main clause. Okay, on to the next. Can you spot the main and subordinate clause again? I am very hungry because I haven't had any breakfast. Pause the video now and see if you can hunt that main and subordinate clause. Okay, let's have a look. We've got I am very hungry. That is my main clause. It has the subject and the verb. Because I haven't had any breakfast is my subordinate clause. And once again, we can go on that subordinated conjunction hunt. Because is my subordinated conjunction. Because I haven't had any breakfast. So my subordinate clause adds more information to my main. And what's different from here to my last is that my main clause is coming first, whereas in the last example, it came second. Okay. Adam crept up the stairs as his little brother was asleep. Pause the video and find the main and subordinate clause. Remember, guys, to look for the subordinating conjunction. Okay, so my main clause is Adam crept up the stairs, and my subordinate clause is as his little brother was asleep. Can you see that here is my subordinated conjunction, so after that is my subordinate clause. Adam crept up the stairs makes sense on its own, and it's got the subject and a verb. So here is my main clause at the beginning. Fantastic. So we are moving on to our tasks today. So everybody has an individual sheet, bronze, silver or gold, and we're going to go through those together now. So here is bronze. So what you're going to do is switch the clauses around and rewrite each sentence into your book. So for example, since we've got initially, since it was raining, we had wet play. Then you would change those clauses around and you would have we had wet play since it was raining. Or the number 2, while Jack is eating, you can watch TV. You'd have to switch those two clauses around. And then remember, guys, that you need to use a comma. Now let's go into silver. So number 1, before the party had started, the guests were getting ready. So you need to have then the guests were getting ready before the party had started. Now in the first one, in my first example, I need a comma after had started, and then I remove that comma. The guests were getting ready before the party had started. So switch the clause around and rewrite each sentence into your books. Now gold is slightly different. What I want you to do is write the sentences in your books and then complete the blanks. Once you've done that, rewrite the sentence by switching the clause around. So there's a little bit of extra writing. So for example, don't cross the road on a sharp corner because it is very dangerous. Then you swap those clauses around, and now we've got the subordinate clause coming first. So we have because it is very dangerous, comma, don't cross the road on a sharp bend. So pause the video on either bronze, silver or gold. Remembering, guys, to use a comma. If you've got your subordinate clause coming first, you need to include the comma after that subordinate clause. And join me in a minute once you've got to maybe through a few of those sentences for a quick pit stop. Okay. Hello. So, can you write your own sentences using a subordinated conjunction? A really great way of testing our knowledge is to be able to put it into context ourselves. So once you've done that, rewrite the sentence but switch the clause around. Pause the video here and have a go. So plenary, excellent job today, guys. What I'd love for you to do is to share some of your amazing work today with a family member. And then I want you to go on a bit of a hunt, a subordinate conjunction or subordinate clause hunt. Whilst you're reading a book or even when you're talking to somebody, can you notice any subordinating conjunctions that you're using? I try to do this whilst I'm talking to people or reading anyway, and it's really fascinating to see how many we actually use without even realising. Fantastic job today, guys. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to ask your teacher or the teacher on duty. We hope you're okay. We're missing you and we can't wait to see you soon. Take care. Goodbye.